It's week 16. We're rolling into the playoffs, and we got to deep dive these wide receivers off the waiver wire. If you're looking for a safe wide receiver to feel good about, that's not happening here because all those wide receivers got zapped through the weeks, but we got some good gamble options to look at. We're going to go one by one, wide receiver by wide receiver. Depending on how deep your league is, you may not need some of these guys, but we got to cover all of them just in case you're in a bind. But before we dig in, you need to click that subscribe button right now. We're going deep on the waiver wire every week. We're going to help you set your lineups with the must-start videos. And on top of that, we're going to deep dive some of these trending players who are starting to get more work here in the last couple of weeks of the season. Click that button. Stop missing out. Ric Flair's watching. You do not want to disappoint Ric Flair. We're starting off with Romeo Doubs. He's back from injury. We ran a lot of routes. We saw a fair amount of snaps. And we're back in the offense. He's a good splash play wide receiver. He gets a good 8-out downfield. He runs a lot of routes per game. This is an offense in some games that will push the pace. We got the Saints. We got the Vikings on the road. We got some advantageous situations here with Romeo Doubs. He's probably rostered in your league. He's probably rostered, but if he's there, probably one of the most safest options on the waiver wire right now. Jalen Coker's back, coming back from injury, and we're getting a lot of snaps, almost a 90% snap share. Ran on 48 snaps. Xavier Legette is going to be week to week. So Jalen Coker is going to get a lot of work going forward. We're sharing the field with Adam Thielen. And these guys love each other. They're former UDFAs, small school guys. And they've gelled together. There's some clips of them talking behind the scenes and everything else. He's getting a good 8-out downfield. He's getting a fair bit of targets. And this is a big play wide receiver who's graded well with PFF throughout the season. We got Arizona and Tampa Bay on the road coming up. They're going to try and get him the ball. He's going to have opportunities. Rashod Bateman's back, baby. And he is the ultimate gamble wide receiver. He's one of those wide receivers that will make you cry on the bench, but make you cry in the lineup. And sometimes when you're looking at waiver wire wide receivers, that's what you got to look at. Last week, we got a 20% target share on 5 targets and 8 out of 22.4. And that's what we're expecting from Rashod Bateman every week almost. He's getting those deep targets. That means if you bring 1 or 2 in, you're going to splash in fantasy football. That also means those are easy targets to miss by the quarterback, by the coverage. Maybe not even Rashod Bateman's fault, but those are hard targets to bring in, making him a dangerous option week to week. And also, the volume here, about 5 targets-ish per game, sometimes 2, sometimes 6. Also not high enough to make him reliable week to week, but you're getting the deep balls out of him. Jalen McMillan is back. Back-to-back games he's hitting for us. He's running a lot of routes. He's getting a fair amount of snaps. He's working on the outside. 23.1% target share. We got some upside here. And we said this weeks ago that there's going to be a time during this stretch where he's going to go off. That might have just happened. But we got the Cowboys. We got Carolina. We got some advantageous situations here. He's getting a lot of work in the passing game. He's running a lot of routes. He's on the field. Another wide receiver to look at, Malik Washington. We've been talking about him off and on all season long. Now that Jalen Waddle's banged up, we're watching him. But Malik Washington comes in, gets 6 targets in this game at 15.4% target share. This is a very underrated rookie wide receiver who fell in the draft, but really cashed in the All-Star games leading up for the NFL draft. Very productive out of Virginia, and he's good out of the slot. He's got good hands, and he's a guy that could accidentally hit in fantasy production. You got San Francisco coming up, so the Dolphins might have to get creative against that defense, so you might see targets going his way. So that's not for basic 12-man leagues, 10-man leagues, but that notion's more for deeper leagues who has to make a harebrained lineup decision, and Malik Washington sitting there, you don't know what you're going to get out of it, but you also got the Browns coming up in Week 17. Elijah Moore. So targets are there. 9 targets, 8 targets, 5 targets, 14, 4, and 6. Fantasy points have not been, but the work rate is 85.5% snap share, 6 targets, almost a 20% target share there. 8-out's looking good. He usually does not command a deep 8-out. Elijah Moore has some upside in his offense. It's very YOLO, so he's a good gamble play wide receiver. You also got the Bengals on the road, and you got the Miami Dolphins. Cedrick Tillman's back. He's a deep threat. He's good on the outside. He doesn't have to go up against Chiefs when he's coming back. We got the Bengals on the road and the Miami Dolphins, like we just said with Elijah Moore. He's an upside play, big-time gamble coming back, but he's going to be on the field running routes, stretching the field. Ray McCloud did not do well last week. However, he's had runs where he busted. We've noted this every single time. However, he's having runs where he's getting a lot of targets. You're not going to trust any of these guys I'm talking about. don't come with that frame of mind. Just pick your poison and move on and see what happens. But week 14, 11 targets, 13, 6 targets. Week 11, 6 targets. Week 10, 4 targets. So we're getting volume in the passing game. Really just amounts to the game script. You got the Giants coming up. You got Washington on the road. Quentin Johnston is not practicing right now. He's dealing with an ankle. You got to pay attention to him. He's been hot right now. On top of that, when he gets hot, he gets really cold. So buyer beware. He's one of the most dangerous wide receivers in football. We talk about him every week. His you need videos, every time I say that, he's going to be a guy that blows up randomly and a guy that's just going to just not hit at all. Like 1 to 0 fantasy points type of deal. And that's due to the deep targets, how he wins on the outside, and how that equates for fantasy is the volume isn't there, but we're starting to get that 17 targets in his last 2 games. We got Denver coming up, so maybe rest him. But the championship game on the road against the Patriots, you may want to look at him. Nick Westbrook was due to busted 2 weeks in a row. He was touchdown city every week. But if you still want to cash in on touchdown city, go ahead. Remember, this is the Titans. We don't trust the Titans, but still, touchdown city is there. When he's getting a deeper 5.7 last week on just 3 targets, not great, not a great game script, but still, Nick Westbrook could be a guy you shoot your shot on. Keon Coleman's back. Ran on 44 snaps, 2 targets. The work rate's not there for you to trust him. It's going to be really hard in a 12-man league, 10-man league to throw in Keon Coleman because you probably got somebody else. And we just covered like 15 wide receivers that are a little bit more trustable. But if I'm in a deeper league or if I got lineup requirements that's a lot deeper, then I might be looking at him because we came back, ran 44 snaps. We're going to get opportunity. We got the Patriots and Jets coming up. He's a good, maybe not good, but he is a gamble option. Brandin Cooks is another gamble option. We got 5 targets last week, 3 the week before, 7 the week before that. I think in traditional 12-man leagues, it's hard to look at him. He is probably going to hit sometime, either against Tampa Bay or Philly on the road as an ancillary piece and hit maybe 10 to 12 fantasy points, but you're not going to trust it. If I'm in a 16-team plus league, maybe. If I got deep roster spots, maybe. But again, a wide receiver that's getting targets and getting a good 8 out most games, but not last week with a 6.4 average depth of target. MBS is one of my favorite waiver wire dandies. We're starting to soak up volume. We got a 24% target share and an 8 out of almost 13. That's elite work rate for a wide receiver. You just throw him in, pray to the fantasy gods. He's due to bust. He's due to bust because he's MBS. But the work rate is phenomenal. So if I'm going to chase a wide receiver, I'm going to chase a wide receiver in an offense that's pushing it downfield with a quarterback that doesn't care and that's getting the deep ball every single game. And hopefully I cash in. Adam Thielen should be rostered, but if I don't bring him up, someone's going to ask about him. He's getting snaps. He's getting good work rate, 25% target share. He is reliable. He's a safe play, 10 to 15 almost every week due to the work rate on the field. Adam Thielen, there you go. Xavier Legette, just throwing it out there. Groin week to week. Don't cash in on him. Just wait. Do what you need to do with your roster. But Devaughn Vele, a low week last week, 3 targets, 5 targets in his last 2 games. Things are cooling off a little bit. A 3.1% target share. A guy in a pinch you'll throw in. Probably more for deeper leagues right now that we're in the stretch. We do have the Chargers and Bengals coming up. Christian Watson is a premier home run play. You throw him in, there's a chance he gets you like 5 fantasy points. But there's also a chance he gets you like 15 to 30. Because if he brings in one of those deep balls, he's good to go. He's good to go. Can Christian Watson do that against the Saints and with the Vikings on the road? And matchup doesn't really matter because he's just got to break loose. Coverage just has to break on him. A.D. Mitchell, because Alec Pierce is banged up. A.D. Mitchell ran more snaps this week, got 4 targets. Another upside play for you to look at. We got Tennessee and New York Giants on the road coming up. Kayshon Boutte, I like to bring him up every week. Because look at the targets since week 8. 6, 6, 6, 6, 4, 6, 5. We had a 21.7% target share, an 8 out of almost 20. That's an elite work rate. We have not hit yet in fantasy production. Demario Douglas, Pop Douglas, more reliable to get you that baseline 10 fantasy points if you're looking for that. Kendrick Bourne's an upside play that rarely hits. But Kayshon Boutte needs to start cashing in with this work rate. Donnie Wicks is here. Ran on 46.9% of the snaps. Got 2 targets. He's an upside play. He is a gamble every week. You're not relying on him. This is more for 16, 20 team, 22 team leagues. That's deeper. You have deep rosters, deep benches, deep lineup decisions. Donnie Wicks is an offense that pushes the pace. He gets that target downfield. He could be good to go for you. Troy Franklin gets targeted on 22% of his routes ran. We got 5 targets in this matchup, 15.6% target share. We're getting that work. We got the Chargers coming up. We got the Bengals coming up. A big gamble play for deeper leagues. Michael Wilson is a big gamble play for deeper leagues, but he's one of those plays where if Marvin Harrison Jr. is getting locked up and they're able to get it to Michael Wilson, even though we got Carolina and the Rams coming up, he could cash for you. It's not too often, but he has the upside to do so. Demarcus Robinson, because if coverage breaks down on Puka and Cooper Kupp, Demarcus Robinson could cash. He's done that a few weeks. A good gamble option. We've been silent in these last few games. Pay attention to him. He's another gamble option for your lineup. So those are the waiver wire wide receivers going into Week 16. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Be sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. Thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.